Join me as your host, Roderick Swift, every Wednesday, Musicians Matters podcast, live right here at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Positive Power, 21 Christian Media, LLC. Let's go!
Do we have a show for you tonight? Musicians Matters Live. We're going to have our host, but before we're going to have our guest, Brandon Bridges. But before we go to our guest, I'm going to have some announcements. We have at least less than 37 days for the Drummers United International Drum Clinic Uncut, July 2nd, 2022, at 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're going to have Brandon Bradford. We're going to have Ronnie Thomas. We're going to have Troy Bowler. We're going to have Hanae Wilson. We're going to have Amani Laurie and myself and more. It's going to be held at 902 West Owens at the Wealthy Place, Las Vegas, Nevada. Let's welcome our guest, Brandon Bridges.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, my brother, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm very, very honored to be on here.
And it's going to be an awesome show, I can see right now, because I was looking at some of your information. Brother Bridges, you had on here King Shahid.
King Shahid.
Yeah, that's how I was looking at that. And the trip part about that, my name, Roderick, is King. Ain't that the trip? When I looked it up, in the Hebrew words, it is king.
Uh-huh.
King on the throne. I was like, oh my goodness, look at God. And then I was looking and it says, you're sharing love and light with the world through my music in the mind of financial literacy. Can you let the world know about that?
Yeah, man. I felt the calling to music early on in the drums, and so I've followed that calling throughout my life, whether, that was me feeding on whatever I had in front of me or just my heart beating itself into learning and studying the drums later in school. And, I think that the mind is an essential part of whatever we do, just as much as the heart is, but I say the mind in particular because some of the things that I've learned kind of focus on that perspective. And we understand that that's, the seat of the soul rests in that area. So, we feel our consciousness kind of like centered there. And that's the perspective that I carry with me. So my mind is very important. If your mind is not stable or in a good place, it's kind of hard to get anything else going. So I've been through a few things, maybe not as much as the next person, but my story and my experiences have shown me that the mind is very important, and I'm interested in helping anybody else who needs that further clarity within their mind or, just to keep going wherever they are on their journey. And the financial literacy and services, I recently got started in that industry just last year, and I have learned so much in such a short span of time of this year passing that I really feel honored and privileged to be in a position to serve and to help others who may not have the same information, who may not be able to afford to go the traditional route of securing this information, and just, kind of showing them what the people who may have grown up with this type of information, how they're using it to stay ahead and secure the needs for their family. A lot of the principles that, are found in some of the spiritual texts, like the Bible, they touch on certain principles with finance and how to take care of your family. But I don't see as much of that enacted in just, everyday people's lives. And so anything that I can do to make that experience richer for them and to help alleviate some of those struggles within my personal family, my friends, my community, I'm glad to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't like you making a lot of sense, but what one thing I don't like, it really irks me when you get to a church and that's all they talk about is just finance here, finance there, finance there. Not just looking at the church as a hospital, looking at it as just collecting money. I don't understand that. You understand where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah, I think I do.
It really irritates. We all have gifts and to give to the table. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Don't just don't just bring your mind and just say, okay, we're just here. We're just gonna talk about. You're going to get a car here, you're going to get a house here, you're going to get this there, and it's not all about that. It's about reaching souls. That's basically what I'm trying to say, basically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I understand what you're speaking toward. I was raised in a Christian family, and so I got some teaching from that experience. And one of the churches that I went to, well, two of the churches was Sunnyside Baptist Church in Los Angeles and the Way the Church in Los Angeles. And especially at the Way the Church under Pastor Bishop W.A. Garrett. He was a very, very, very great teacher. Very great teacher. I felt even as a child.
Great teacher. I know of him. I know very much of him. Yes.
Oh wow, yeah, man. He even as a child, being just sitting in the pews and, me, my nephew, my brother, we were like the three amigos because even my nephew, he's only like a year younger than me. My brother's older than me. So we were just all right around the same age, and we were sitting there a lot of times and, we'd be on the game or whatever, doing whatever. But after a certain point, I would just start hearing certain things. And I'm like, I should be paying attention too. And so I kind of took to what he was teaching early on. And I was enriched by it for sure because he was teaching with integrity. He was practicing whatever he taught, and a lot of those teachings that he shared, he definitely was. He kept the main thing. You know what I mean? Like like you said, it was about souls being reached, and he was doing the work of really kind of mining that text, those scriptures, as deeply as he possibly could and bringing it into real life practice, not just going up and speaking and talking about things, but showing practical application of the principles within the book and how it should improve your daily life. And from that, I learned a lot. I carried a lot of those teachings, like I said, with me even beyond my church experiences when I went through some other things. And I'm just grateful to him because truth is going to stand the test of time regardless. So, you might come across some wicked people, but they'll tell you some things that for some reason you can't get it out your head. Hopefully it's not the ego reasons, but sometimes it's those truthful things, sometimes it'll be the craziest, least expected source of information sometimes will give you the most potent things you need to move forward if you really have the ears to hear it.
Amen. That's awesome. That's really awesome. So let's get on back to the information on what we about here for is the music. That's to all the musicians. It's not all about the drums, or it's not all about the keyboards. You got to have the word to maintain your livelihood today. Otherwise, we'll just be out there just swinging our fingers and not knowing about our everyday lives. So that's good thing. my brother, that you have touched on. So, how your approach to the music, your kit or your percussions?
Well, that's a loaded question, of course.
Come on with it. Come on with it. They need to hear it.
Right. Okay, so, well, I'll start with where I'm at right now.
Right.
Basically, me and my wife, we live in Las Vegas right now. We've been out here over a year. And, well, pretty much I've gotten connected with some cats in the jazz community here. And that's been a true honor to really be. I'm just fortunate to, run into people and they accept us and welcome us. And so that's a beautiful thing, to be able to perform the music that I studied and have spent a good deal of my time with, just appreciating and listening to, just for the love of it, but also having been trained in it. So as a jazz drum set player, so to speak, I've been, challenged to not have a practice space within my apartment. But I also have been keeping busy with the street performing that me and my wife have done, on the Strip and other places in Vegas. And so that has actually kept my chops sharp on a daily basis, so to speak. And I've been able to take out, pretty much drum set, but I had to jerry rig a kit because it's kind of hard to be too mobile with a big old bass drum everywhere.
Exactly. You're right about that.
Yeah. And so, I kind of jerry rig up. If you check us out, check out our page, Star Soul. And we spell the Star Soul with 5s instead of S's. So it's 5PAR, 5OUL. You'll be able to see some of what I've been doing for the last few months. Really about almost half a year now. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a completely different experience from anything else musically that I've done before. And I've gone from the kit setup that you'll see there on our Instagram page or even our TikTok to now being going to buckets and to Cajon and back to buckets. And so it's been an all-encompassing thing that has challenged me to stay sharp, because I think the songs and you got everything good, and then we got to call an audible, do whatever environmental or circumstantial situations arise. And so just through that, having to relearn all my parts and, just remap everything, which thankfully, being a drummer, it's not too difficult. It's not like I'm going from saxophone to trumpet or something. But
exactly.
It is, right. It is still a challenge where people are, you have an audience at all given times pretty much, and they deserve and are expecting or looking for a show. They're not looking at it as you're out here practicing or they're looking to hear you entertain them because they're here on their vacation, they're here with their families, they're here having fun celebrating a birthday with their friends or whatever the case. And so there's definitely a supportive environment, thankfully, within the other buskers around who also come out and make their living performing on the streets, as well as some of the people that will just come by and just say, hey, we support what you're doing. We see you're out here working hard to stay focused and pursue your craft. And they really, really enjoy that site. So even though I might be, flubbing apart, just trying to get it together because I'm playing Cajon for the first time in a few years, and I'm trying to rap at the same time.
Yeah. It's kind of different than the full set, isn't it? Huh?
Oh man, it is a world of difference. Thankfully, still rhythmic, but when I'm used to having the 4 limbs, so to kind of, so channel that into 2 limbs. I mean, that first day out there, I beat my hands up, man. They have not looked the same since. I was, and I didn't have, and again, that was my first time back on Cajon in a while, so I hadn't looked at any lessons or videos. Just went out there raw, just do it. And I definitely learned my lesson that night that, okay, I'm going to have to get back to, studying this and checking it out, make sure I'm hitting it right, in the right spots. Because I was, hitting too hard and leaning too far down, and my back was hurting, my hands was hurting, my voice was tired out. It was a mess. But I got through it, and I'll never forget it now. So it's a great experience to reflect on, to keep me strong. And if I know I can make it through 3 to 4 hours of that, then I should be able to, keep the sticks in my hand pretty much forever.
Yes. So let them know, like, what you're talking about. I know that they have some on the Fremont Street experience, but do they still have them on the Strip too?
So yeah, there's buskers or street performers that are on the Strip. They're at Fremont Street, and even First Friday has actually become a new favorite of ours. That we love to just go out and perform because, again, the environment is so supportive of it. But all those locations, and then, you might find some sparingly, talk to a few of the other people that we've met out there, and they, know some other people. They've been around Vegas a bit longer than us. So they're like, yeah, I know people who are, they'll play at certain casinos that are off the Strip or a little bit out the way, or whatever their spots are that they found that work for them. And it's been a really promising and encouraging thing to experience, because before going out there, I kind of had a stigma myself about being a street performer, where I would kind of look at it as, for one, it was kind of like, all right, it felt like a step down for some reason, probably because I had never really done it, or I had never really talked to somebody who was living that lifestyle in depth about it. I knew a few people, but I didn't really talk to them about it to really get the understanding. But then on top of that, I also had some challenges mentally for myself, where it was like, well, I've seen all these street performers. I've seen, people on the drum set. I've seen people on the buckets. I've seen people doing different things that are really, really unique, and they're very great at what they do. And so I almost felt like, I don't know, I don't want to go out there and be mediocre or not bring something special to the table. And that was kind of one of the roadblocks for me that stopped us from going out months earlier, when me and my wife both talked about it, before we actually started doing it. But that kind of melted away once we actually took action and really got out there, and necessity helped bring that about. So
that's understandable.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I said that's understandable. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let you know and let the world know that we do have it's called Drummers in Las Vegas. I guess his name is I'm not gonna say I guess. You heard of John Nashin? He's over 91.5 Las Vegas.
I think I have heard his name before, but I don't know too much about him. I haven't even been on the radio lately.
Well, basically, we meet like once a month. Basically, it's just basically a luncheon, and all it is it's basically just the older cats just meeting and just talking to each other about our livelihood and basically our crafts. And you have John Nash, and you got like one of my big brothers. His name is Greg Suave Brown. You know him, Suave, right?
I don't.
Yeah, you gotta look him up. Greg Suave Brown. He's a well-known drummer that's in Las Vegas, and he's over. Basically, he's not well known in Las Vegas. He's a national drummer. He's basically been overseas and in and out of the States. He's been everywhere. So I'm just vouching over for my big brother because I really know him, and he's a good person. And so it's called. I'm basically after this podcast is over, I'm gonna send you the link so you can get in tune and get in sync with the drummers in Las Vegas, and they can let you know what's going on if you want to get more into that. All right?
Oh, definitely, man. I certainly appreciate that.
It's an awesome group. I've been dealing with them for over 13, 14 years now. It's an awesome group. We went from one part of the city eating to another part of the city eating and just talking about music. And matter of fact, I had one of my past guests. He was on here. His name was JD. I think he was like 2 weeks ago. If not last week, it was the week before last. But he was an awesome guest. My brother, who inspired you to go forward in your music movement?
Mm-hmm. Well, what inspired me was, like I said, I kind of had felt that calling early on as a child, especially going into church. Like I said, coming up in a Christian family, and I would see the drummer at church at a very young age and was like, that's it. Like,
I can do that.
Yeah, it's like that. He looks like he's having a lot of fun. That looks super cool. I want to do that. Like, I don't know what I got to do it, how it's going. I don't know if I'm going to be good at it. Or I wasn't thinking none of that. It was just, that's me. I want to do that. And that thought never left my mind. So I know it was spirit because it was a certain amount. There was a kind of certainty to that thought that never left me. And so I just held on to that. And, you know, me and my cousins and my brother, we would, whenever we'd be, you know, hanging out at grandma's house or whatever, or playing around and things would get musical, I would be the dude beating on stuff, you know, the floor or beatboxing or, you know, just whatever I could use.
Check it out. Hold on. You about to tell my age now. See, when you start the beatboxing. Oh, my
Come on with it.
Okay. So, basically, do you have any projects coming up, my brother?
So there's a number of things that are kind of in a formulation phase. So I'm trying to figure things out for myself. I got a few other invitations, nothing solidified, but I have been working with a guy by the name of Muhammad Rafi Shakir.
Awesome.
And I've been working close with him. He's part of that jazz that has worked with me so lovingly, and my wife as well. And man, it's been a pleasure working with him. And if you want to check him out, that would be Patah Studios. So that's PTAH Studio. Mm-hmm. That's on Instagram, YouTube, and he's got some things working. I don't know if he's announced anything, so I can't specifically speak to
that's understandable. Don't say it yet, then, because it's still in the oven. Then
right. Yeah, but there's definitely jazz, which he has been doing recurringly for some months now, and that's usually the first Sunday of the month. So that's coming up.
Jazz in the Park.
Yeah, Jazz in the Park, Jazz Night. Yep.
Okay, so that means when I get back here, I can get out there and come out there and check you out then.
Yes, please do come join us. It's a lot of fun. The environment is all love. It's really beautiful with him and his friends and what they've been able to build. It's really a family of just people working together and in real appreciation and love for the music, which can be challenging to build amongst young people. And that's what really, really cemented me. Like, yo, I love this. I'll do this as long as I can. And you know, there's a lot of cats doing some great things out here. I'm learning about. I'm still not even all the way tapped in or plugged in because I have to do, you know, my daily living things to get by as well. But I do, you know, when I poke my head up, I hear about some things. Whether it's shout out to Eduardo Lacala, he just did another. You know, he has a jam session he hosts at the Griffin in downtown Vegas. That's always a great thing to go to. And I mean, just he's actually who plugged me into the event where we met Muhammad. So I have to, give that kind of respect because, I mean, shoot, I mean, it's been a fun journey just meeting all these really wonderful people who are great artists and are dedicated to the craft. And like I said, just being new to the city, it's almost like I've been here almost half a decade or something because it's beautiful. We just fell right into place.
That is beautiful. So what is the best advice you ever given a musician?
Ooh, the best advice. That's kind of tough because I've been teaching for about, since I graduated high school. So that's about 12 years now. The best advice I've given a musician. I guess it will have to come back to kind of just understanding yourself. You really got to know yourself and proceed with that. And once you know who you are without, question about what somebody else says you are, who somebody else thinks you are, and those judgments are not clouding how you view yourself, you're empowered to do so much more than what you might even think is possible. And so I encourage anybody to go deeper into that, as I have been encouraged, and it has made a world of difference for me personally. And from that, just whatever it is, you once you know who you are, you have a much clearer picture on what you want to do and how to get there. A lot of times people leave behind their childhood dreams, but that's not necessary. There's a wave of people, especially with social media, that things is kind of, information is floating around so abundantly that you can kind of see people moving at 1,000,000 miles a minute.
That's right.
And, right. And there's so much information that is all really good information, but there's different viewpoints, different perspectives, and the same thing doesn't work for everybody the same way. Or maybe there's a priority of application that needs to be taken into account sometimes. So that's why knowing yourself will help you sort that out. And I think that just when you know what it is that you really are here for, when you've really been able to really sense and feel what your purpose has always been, or purpose says, because we have multiple purposes. We're not restricted. That essentially you can really get it done. You can do it. That's what we're all here for. We're all here for something. And it may be something that, you feel like you've been assigned to do. It may be something you feel like you just figured out for yourself and really enjoy, that other people benefit from as well and enjoy with you, whatever that is. And for me, that happens to be music through the medium of drumming primarily, but I'm not even limited to that. I've learned not to limit myself to that either.
Come on now.
Yeah, so like I said with the whole Star Soul thing, you'll hear me doing a little rapping and singing across the different percussive instruments that I'm using.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun because it's challenging, and I'm transcribing music, so I'm constantly like keeping my ears open and sharper, and we'll hear stuff while we're out on the street, and it's just kind of like, hey babe, can you pick that line up? And she's like, I don't know, let me try. And we're just improvising and figuring things out on the spot sometimes, and that's a lot of the times what people vibe with the most versus the song. We feel like, oh yeah, we know this song, we got this song, this song is tight.
Exactly.
But then we'll go figure something out in 10 minutes, and everybody's dancing, and it's like, what the heck?
That's right. You're right about that. So name one of your favorite songs, bro.
Ooh, oh my God. Well, one of my favorite songs is actually 7 Steps to Heaven. That, Victor Feldman tune that Miles Davis popularized. I mean, Tony Williams on the drum set on that track just kind of spoke to me with the melody. Everything really came together. And it's just a beautiful way that it spoke to me to the point that I had to put it in my senior recital during my time at UCLA. And from that, I created my own arrangement for it, and that was a lot of fun. I've loved that song pretty much since I heard it. But outside, that's not one of the ones we play in Star Soul. But we're figuring things out as far as expanding our repertoire. So like I said, I'm not doing more keyboard work with transcriptions and things like that, making time to do that. And so one of the songs I like to do out there, is probably Dedication by Nipsey Hussle. That's a fun one to play because of Nipsey. I like he had an impact on my life. Just being in proximity. Actually, I was teaching at the school that his daughter attended, and so I was privileged to be able to, while I was working one day for a recital and whatnot, and he's walking through the building, just walk past, like, I didn't stop because I was just like in work mode. And so I was just like, man, that's Nipsey. Like, that's so cool because I had already tuned into some of his music. And, it may be kind of controversial for some of the Christian listeners, but I think that we all have to.
They need to hear it. They need to hear it.
Yeah. And I just think that we all have to recognize each other's individuality. And that's where, again, it goes back to knowing yourself. You don't feel threatened by somebody else's choices. But can still learn from, who they are.
Right. Check it out. I'm learning every day, bro.
Yeah.
Still at the age that I am, I'm learning every day. Shouts out to one of my brothers that I like. I listen to. Matter of fact, I woke up listening to him this morning. Beast. Ricky Diller's drummer. You heard of him?
I don't know. I don't know by name unless it's I don't want to throw out the wrong name.
He spelled it like B-E, capital B-E-A-S-T-O-N. He's really nice. He's like an international drummer, and he plays for Ricky Dillard. Shout out to him. And I just listened to him. I followed him like daily. Hopefully I can get him back on this show again. So how do you rest your mind? Beast, yeah.
Yeah, Beast. Okay, yeah. I actually follow him on Instagram. So I just pulled that over. You said that. I'm like, that sounds familiar. I think I know. Yeah. I'm not too tapped into the gospel circuit like I really want to be, to really just know who these cats are off the top of my head. But man, it's so many.
He doesn't stay on gospel. What I'm trying to say is he got his own rhythm. He has his own stimulus, and that he can take you to places that, I may not can take you. Just by, like, we love jazz music. You know what I'm saying? We love the rudiment. We love the hip hop. We love the rhythms and stuff like that. But by his beats that he put out there, it's like ridiculous. So I just listen to him, just look at him like and follow him like, wow. And then if I'm put out another person that I really like, as far as of keyboardist, Michael Bradford. I've been following him. He's a drummer too. If you come to the clinic, he's gonna be there at the clinic. He's gonna be there. He's gonna be actually the clinician for the clinic this year.
Okay.
And yeah, it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be really nice. And my Josiah Thomas, awesome keyboardist.
See, this is what I need right here. This is what I need right here to really know.
Awesome keyboardist.
Who's around and who's playing, and man, just who to look out for and to learn from, especially that learning. That's actually probably the best information that I've given and received, is to continue learning, never stop learning. Because one of the things I learned from Fernando Pullum, who is a great educator and performer in Los Angeles when I was working under him and his organization, was something either growing or it's dying. There is no stagnation. So if it feels like it's stagnant, it's probably dying. It's not growing. So
that's true.
That's life right there.
Really life, yes. My brother, how do you rest your mind off of your days of work?
Oh man,
when you come off of that street, like, how do you rest your mind? Because us as a musician, our mind is always thinking. Haven't you noticed that? It's always going.
Yeah, I thought it was human, but it might be specific to us too. I thought it was a human thing, but I don't know, man. I don't know if I really do as much as, or it's not calculated if it is happening as much. I really kind of just dive back into the music, or again, I'm learning finance. I kind of just switch gears, so I'm studying something there, or I'm making calls, or
understandable,
reaching out to people. I'm on social media creating posts. It's kind of a nonstop thing, because one of the things that I learned kind of late in the game of being a freelance musician primarily was that, hey, you're an entrepreneur.
Yes, you are.
Like, nobody told me specifically as a musician who just accepts freelance gigs here and there, or at my leisure, at my own volition, that you're an entrepreneur running a self-employed operation of a business. Every time you take a gig, that's your business being employed. I understood that it was about business somewhat, more in a kind of loose concept, very ambiguous understanding. But to really understand, like, hey, this is how you file your taxes. You need to keep track of all this stuff throughout the year because it matters for your business. Like, that was a whole thing that came, like, maybe 3 years or later after I graduated high school. And so it was kind of like a, what? It was a mind flip. Like, I was kind of like just tripped out by that. And that never left me. And so I've kind of looked at things a lot differently over the years since then. The more I learn, just the more I'm like, okay, I got to take this to the next level. And so, like you said, with how do I rest my mind, I just kind of switch departments, because as an entrepreneur, you're constantly building something. You're working on building this business up, and or either that or you don't eat, or else it just, unless you got it sufficient, however that works for you. But for me,
right.
Yeah, so for me, I'm like, I guess I just kind of switch departments. I'm coming off the street from performing, and I go into the management department when I get home, or I'll go into the marketing department. I got to put the post up and make sure the caption is right, put the hashtags in there, and looking up which hashtags are the most looked at or the least looked at, or however I'm structuring it, and just trying to get all the, I got the post up on one platform, now I got to put up on the other three, or if it's not that, then I'm working on things with my wife, or we'll come home and work on our relationship, because the relationship is serious work. That's a whole,
That's
man.
Another ball game there. I seen, matter of fact, I seen that you do drum lines too. Do you do it out here, or is that just doing your livelihood, your life when you was coming up, when you was coming through school?
Great question. The drum line, I've done drumline work as a student, participating in them, and then after graduating, working with them, and teaching. That's where the majority of my teaching experience is rested at. And I still do virtual lessons, and so it's not restricted to drumline format, but there's a large part of the knowledge base that I draw from when I'm teaching, depending on, whatever the personal student's learning goals are and things like that. And so I still technically I'm not currently active with any particular drum lines in Las Vegas. I haven't gotten plugged in yet because I've been focused on the jazz stuff, and like I mentioned, with doing the street performing. But I am always definitely just kind of looking out to, again, learn more about the food here, what opportunities might be available. So if you're aware of anything that I'm not concerning that, I'm still open to check it out here. If I can come in and just do a guest visit or something. I think I might have tired myself out coming, like I said, right after high school before I really even got my mind together. But I was able to teach what I knew, and that was all that was expected. It wasn't about being the perfect master of all these concepts and techniques. It was just, I know more than the student, and I can help them get closer to where I am. The same as somebody else helped me get to where I am today. So I kind of, been operating off of that for a long time, and I'm lucky to have great teachers like Nathaniel Lewis from my high school experience, who actually has his own drum corps, formerly known as City Sound, now Vessel Percussion, and that's home. That's like family. In addition to, again, the high school environment that we came from, we have a kind of strong alumni spirit. And shout out to the generals from Prep.
Awesome. Amazing. Amazing.
Shout out to all my peoples, man. And some of the other people. Actually, this is actually perfect timing to mention it.
Yes, it is.
So one is... Mm-hmm.
It is the right time.
Yeah. And just recently, I just found out one of the organizations I was affiliated with, that I worked with, really, really great people. Ronald Tyson, and Children of Production, Los Angeles. He, the Primetime Drumline, they are no joke, man. They are, when I was at the Fernando Pullum Community Arts Center at that time, it was kind of like, there's kind of like brotherhood between our organizations. So it was always fun watching and seeing what he's doing while we were building, and just kind of playing off of that energy of just knowing that, like, man, there's a lot of talented young people that are out here who just need the opportunity. And it a lot of times, the narrative sometimes is keeping them off the street, but sometimes it's just keeping them, out the house too. That makes that difference, because who knows what they're going through at home. The street is not always the worst of the worst, although it can be, especially coming from the trends and stuff in our community. But neither here nor there. Just saying that to say, Children of Production Los Angeles, shout out to them. They actually just went through some things, so go to their page and support them, because they definitely need it. They just experienced some things with a trip in Oakland where some not so benevolent onlookers decided to take part in some of their equipment, and that was a little disheartening to see. But I'm sure they're going to bounce back, especially because they have been doing the right thing since day one. Ron Tyson, again, he's a man of just immense work ethic, passion, and dedication to the students and the craft. And so I know that they're going to continue to go further than wherever they've been already. And I'm just grateful to have been a part of that journey as well, being able to work with them and come in and do guest classes, guest speaking, and having our drum line kind of meet each other and play together and stuff like that. And out back home to, Fernando Pullum Community Arts Center. All the love for all these organizations doing the work of making the community, especially through the drums, man. That's home for me. So just making the community a more loving environment for all of us to go and develop in.
Awesome. So describe yourself in just 50 words or less, bro.
50 words or less. I'm me.
Amen.
My name is Brandon Shaheed. My name is Brandon Shaheed Bridges. I'm from Los Angeles, South Central. I drum and more. I'm about learning, and I want to make sure that when I leave this earth, that anybody's association to me is an addition to their livelihood, not a subtraction.
Amazing. So we're coming to a close at this platform. Where can it be reached? Where can they reach you? What platforms can they reach you at?
Well, the best, I guess the most active platform I'm on right now is Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook. But my Instagram page is King Shaheed. And so that's going to be Shaheed, SHAHEDD, King Shaheed. And you can find me there. My Facebook is Brandon Bridges. If you put in King Shaheed, that'll also pop up. Yeah, there's an old Facebook profile that I can't delete because I lost the password. I was young, so I can't delete it. But look for the one that comes up with King Shaheed. That'll be it'll be obvious which one's the most active. That's where you can find me. Reach out, say hello, send me a personal message, whatever the case, and say, hey, I heard you on the podcast, and you can chop it up. Chop it up verbally. We can chop it up on the drums. We can chop it up over some food, however we want to do it.
That's good. That sounds like a winner. Because I deal with kids daily, this is the last day of school. I just wanted to this is like irritating me, but I want to give like 20 seconds of silence just to the kids that was in Texas. It's kind of irritating me because of that situation, what was going on. So we just keep our kids in prayer. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Let's keep our kids in prayer. And I would like to thank you, Brandon Bridges, just for coming in, just chopping in with me. You were just an awesome guest, and you can come to this platform anytime. I would like to thank my mentor, Jerry Royce, Life Officer Power 21 Christian Media, LLC, for being there as a true brother and a true friend in Christ. I would like to thank Tyler Gaston, the gas station recording studio, for all of my engineering work done for this show and for Drummers United International Drum Clinic Uncut. I would like to thank him. And the last thing I would like to thank, let you know that all things work together for your good. God bless.
Indeed.
Join me as your host, Roger Swift, every Wednesday, Musicians Matters Podcast, live right here at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Positive Power, 21 Christian Media, LLC. Let's go!
You're listening to Jerry Roycelive Worldwide Podcast.